What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the next piece of One Piece. Not exactly. No, we're doing a quick, hopefully quick. I always say a quick video, and it ends up being 35 minutes long. But hopefully this time, as you guys can tell from the title, I'm going to predict the bounties, specifically that are going to be apparently dropped in Chapter 1053. Spoilers came out today, but at the end of the day, even though the spoilers came out, I'm not going to read the leaks because I'm going to be live streaming, live reacting on the Friday. I know the chapter is likely going to come out Thursday, but I'm going to be very, very busy, so unlikely to happen. I'm going to try my best to remain unspoiled completely up until Friday night when I stream it, or Friday afternoon when I get to stream Chapter 1053, because I think everything's going to be hype. But before we get into that, let's just go over a couple of the bounty changes. I'm not going to go through every single one. I am going to go through all of the Straw Hats, Yamato, Kid, and Law. These are the ones I'm going to go through. And I'm going to predict the new bounty changes. And right out of the gate, who are going to be the two new emperors. We don't actually know how many emperors they're going to add. At the end of Chapter 1052, what was the big thing? What changed? They said who has been dubbed new emperors of the sea. Now we assume because Big Mom and Kaido were defeated, they're going to replace both of them. But potentially they're only replacing one. Potentially now it's going to be 6 new emperors because Luffy's already the 5th new emperor. Maybe they add 3. Maybe they do only replace 2. We don't actually know that yet. I mean, I'm sure people who read the spoiler leaks definitely know. But, there's always potential. There's always potential for that. So why don't we actually discuss that right now before we get into what I think the bounty changes are going to be. So at the end of Chapter 1052, of course, Apu shows up trying to not get himself killed, and he's got the protection of one of the numbers sort of idea to hopefully, and everybody's battered and beaten even 7 days later. So he's hoping that no one's going to try to kill him. And he's coming in with the info. He's coming in with the information, hoping to get into somebody's good graces. I don't know, Apu's a bitch. But the fact of the matter is that he mentions, of course, the bounty changes. And the second thing is that who has been newly dubbed Emperors of the Sea. Now, I would argue that Luffy was already dubbed the 5th Emperor of the Sea, so that's not going to be the name. That's not going to be a change. He's already been considered an Emperor of the Sea, and now he's been proving it as we've gone through the Wano arc. So, going off on the limb of what I already said, let's assume what most people do, that they're going to replace 2. The obvious choices being Kid and Law. It's been set up that way, right? Even though a lot of people don't like Kid and don't think Kid's very impressive anymore and stuff, and Law is clearly a badass and stuff, so nobody has a problem with Law, that's definitely the obvious choices. But who potentially could be the other choices? Let's assume that Oda's going to go a little bit curvy with this one. What would be the other potential candidates? I'm not saying these are likely. I'm saying who has the potential. Well, anybody, arguably, that was part of the Rooftop Gang, including Law and Kid, but also their first mates. The only 2 non-captains of the Supernovas, Zoro and Killer. How likely is that? Way down in the bottom. Way down. But if anybody else, if Kid and Law, assuming there are 2 spots available only, no more, no less, and if Kid and Law were not included, or if there's a 3rd spot that opened up, who else would be there? Let's assume they were going to make 6 emperors, right? And they were going to choose a 3rd candidate. Out of everybody in Wano, who would you think is the most likely? My 3 top picks, as I've already said, Rooftop Gang is obvious. The ones who actually fought against the former Yonkos, Big Mom and Kaido. The only other option I actually see is Yamato, being the daughter or son of Kaido. Definitely with just the pedigree alone is the only other option. Regardless how powerful you think people like Robin or Jinbei or Sanji or any of these people are, and the feats that have been included, it's very unlikely. And it's very unlikely that any of these other 3 candidates that I have suggested would be other Yonko. That's why it's very, they're building up the hype, but it's so obvious that it's got to be, if they're going to replace the 2 Yonko, it's got to be Kid and Law. Because Zoro and Killer, the best candidate afterwards would be Zoro, but I don't think Zoro's ready for that, and I don't think Zoro's ever going to get that title, because that's not what Zoro is. Zoro is a first mate on a pirate crew, but he's a swordsman first and foremost. Him getting the title Emperor of the Sea would just feel wrong, no matter how powerful he becomes. It's very similar to how Rayleigh, from what we understand, had the epithet of the Dark King and the first mate of the Rogers crew, but from what we understand, he was never named a Yonko. Potentially he was the Yonko and then Shanks took over his position or something like that. We don't know for certain. But from what we understand, Rayleigh was never a Yonko, though he's definitely got the pedigree for it, and he's definitely got the power. Especially back in the day, the further you go back, the more powerful he was. So, sure, power scaling wise, it would make sense. But once again, I think it's pretty obvious to the rest of us. I'm just playing the devil's advocate. If there's only one option, I think it's very clearly going to be Law. If there's two options, it's Kid and Law. And if there was a third opening, I think it would have to be Zoro, Killer, or Yamato. Most likely going to Zoro. But once again, I don't think that any of those three will ever become Yonko. It's just, but who else would you pick from in the entirety of the Wano arc? Who else, realistically? Unless, hold on, there's also another option I came up with. We know that the warlord system has been abolished. So, we have the potential of people like Mihawk, Boa, just saying. Some very powerful people. I mean, Mihawk is definitely in that conversation in that class. So we've all been going out on the limb that it has to be people involved with Wano. But things in the world have been changing and developing. With the Revolutionary Army and Mary Joa and with the Reverie and the whole idea of the warlord system being abolished and all the Marines going to attack people like Boa and Mihawk and people like that. So right out of the gate, it's easy to say that Mihawk is a definite candidate for Yonko, as is Boa Hancock. So maybe Oda is playing us. Maybe Oda's making it seem so obvious that Kid and Law are going to take over the positions, and maybe only one of them gets it, and Mihawk takes the other one. I'm just saying, the potential is there. It's definitely there. No matter how much I know the community, some people rank Mihawk really, really low because I don't know why. And then there's people who are correct, like me, who know that Mihawk is way up in the top echelon when it comes to power. So yeah, definitely a potential there. We're being led to believe that the Emperors of the Sea have to be from Wano, but other things have been happening in the world while Wano has been happening and going on, and this whole raid on Onigashima. Other things were taking place. So, there is always that option. So yeah, that's the first and foremost thing, is that the most likely candidates, of course, for the new Yonko positions, for the new Emperors of the Sea, is Kid and Law, very obviously. However, if there's anybody else from Wano, I've listed those possibilities, and if it's outside of Wano, then Mihawk and Boa are on the top of my list. Who do you think? If anybody else is potential, let me know who you think has the potential candidacy in the comments down below. Mihawk seems like the obvious choice to me, though Boa being in charge of an entire island and the group on Amazonilian stuff, having a territory, unlike Mihawk who simply has one small island and a little boat and stuff, maybe that will sway the government to choosing Boa over Mihawk and stuff. So that's why I see that potential there. And most of the other warlords, I don't really think that they have they're not in a position to take that throne quite yet. So, but maybe. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, okay. So that was the first part of the video. Second part is moving on to the bounties. It's very obvious to me that Monkey D. Luffy is going to be hitting in those high digits. He's already got 1.5 billion berry bounty. And I've seen a lot of people go crazy with the number. I think he could go anywhere from Blackbeard's bounty number all the way to 3+. I think that that's a reasonable, bracket to be in. I could see it being, 3.1. I can see that. But I don't want the fans to be disappointed if he's only 2.2 or 2.4 or something along those lines, right? Because yes, Luffy had this crazy added bounty and stuff. Yes, it's insane. But are we really going? Is the world government really going to acknowledge that he is more dangerous than Blackbeard? That he's more dangerous than the one who upset Marineford, who stole every... Like, once again, yes, you could argue with the reveal of the Nika powers and all this stuff. It's very obvious that, of course. But the argument that I've always stated, like with Nico Robin, is that they don't want necessarily for everyone to know it, right? If they can keep things under wraps. Nico Robin should have had a bounty that was stupid as a child. But the world government did not want to tip off the public and have a loss of a controversy, a loss of faith. They want to keep the public informed in their way, right? Propaganda and such. This child is clearly, the devil child is clearly, oh no, she, we want her brought in and stuff like that, but they don't want the public to know just how important. Because you think of all the places in the world, nobody's going to sit back and you think nobody's going to question if Robin had a 500 million berry bounty as an 8-year-old? You think that some people aren't going to be sitting in their little small towns in the East Blue or in the West Blue and sit back and go, she's an 8-year-old child. What the fuck did she do that's so terrible to you? It would start to be questioned. There is a number that you can't. There is a threshold to making it seem okay. The world government clearly this is a bad egg or blah blah blah, and some people might still question it, but those numbers will be very small. Those voices would be small. But you add the big number, all of a sudden you go over that threshold. Then the public support starts questioning the world, right? So, and that's important to keep the public in the dark, but to keep them in line and to keep them happy. You have to do that. And the world government has been doing that for 800 years. They're not about to fuck it up by stating just how badly they want Robin. Now, it might become a thing, and they might have an excuse to add more to her bounty, but it's the same idea. So, I can see Luffy's bounty. Luffy's bounty is easily going to go into the 2 billion. But will it be higher or lower than Blackbeard's? I won't be surprised either way. That's all I'm saying. I think there's a huge threshold potential. If it goes above 3 billion, fine dandy. I don't think it's hitting 4. But it could be into the 3s. It could stay in the 2s. Easy. So, moving on from that one though. The next on the list would be Zoro, of course. Of course, the swordsman himself. The first mate of the Straw Hat Pirates, pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. He currently has a bounty of 320 million. That shit is a garbage level bounty for our man. I believe, just right out of the gate, the Rooftop Gang is all getting 7 digits. So quick pause and edit for this point and the rest of the video. I make a bit of a blunder, a bit of a mathematical error, if you will, by thinking about the millionth place. I think about this, the 7 digits, and I bring up 7 digits a lot when I actually mean 10 digits. I'm talking about billionberry, not million. Why have billions when you can have millions, I guess? I had millions on the mind for some reason, and I will consistently probably say that a few more times in the video, and I'll refer to when I mean the 10th place, when I mean the billions, I end up saying 7 places. So that's just my error. I didn't feel like re-recording the video for that, just that little edit alone. So anyway, just correcting it now and back onto the video. Okay? They're all going to be in the billions. I think Killer, Kid, Law, the 5 and the Rooftop are going to be in the billions. That's how I feel. Any lower, I think, is a bit of an insult. Because not only did they all fight against a double Yonko attack, but then went on to do other things. Law and Kid specifically went and defeated Big Mom. Regardless how you guys want to argue that Law did most of the work and blah blah blah, the fact of the matter is it's considered it was a 2v1 versus Big Mom, and who came out on top? Luffy, of course, defeated Kaido. And I mean, there was a lot involved there, but of course. But Zoro and Killer were also in these fights. And then afterwards, Killer proceeds to defeat and apparently kill Hawkins, kill one of the, high-ranking members of Kaido's crew, but also a fellow supernova. And, Zoro goes on, a weakened Zoro goes on to defeat the number 1 of Kaido's crew. The first mate. So, easily, I think everybody on the roof gets into the 7 digits. Now, where in the 7 digits? Not 100%. I think that Zoro gets above $1 billion, but not much more. 1.1, 1.3, something like that. And I think that Oda's going to have a fun pun with it, right? And the only other person outside of the Rooftop Gang that I think is going to go over $1 million, or $1 billion, sorry, is potentially Sanji. Now, I know that sounds weird for me because for some reason people seem to think I hate Sanji. Always like Sanji as a character. Let's once again reiterate that. And Sanji is definitely no slouch when it comes to combat and the Straw Hat's crew. He's one of the main forces that make the Straw Hat crew powerful in what they are. The thing is that Sanji's bounty has always reflected, Sanji and Zoro's bounty have always been flip-flopped through arcs. Sanji, of course, got his increase, where Zoro got none from the last arc. So Zoro's is definitely going to be higher next, just so they can have the classic argument, like they've done throughout the series. Now, defeating Queen is realistically the only thing Sanji has done. The Vinsmoke thing, all that pedigree, is already being included in the 330 million berry bounty. Honestly, I can see Zoro's stocks skyrocket, and it not to be so close neck and neck between Sanji and Zoro anymore. I think this might be the big divide. But if it is, I think it's going to be about 100, 200 million berry under Zoro's, whatever Zoro's is. So if Zoro gets an even billion, I think that Sanji's going to be 800. Something like that. I think the divide is going to be a lot bigger than some of the fans are going to like. But realistically, what has Sanji done that was impressive in this arc? He defeated Queen, who already fought against Marco. And you can argue that Marco also fought against King, but Zoro fought a couple of goddamn Yonkos people. And this was all reported. The Rooftop Gang is in their own little tier, their own little echelon. They have moved beyond. And Zoro's, unfortunately, for a lot of Sanji fanboys who can't stand that, that's going to be the case. So Sanji is the only one I think that potentially goes up to $1 billion, but I think he goes into the high 100 millions. I really do. I think he goes above 500. I think he goes above 600. But I don't think he hits, I really don't think he hits $1 billion. If he does, fine dandy, but Zoro's just going to be higher. Okay, so that's Sanji. Now Nami, I think, is going to stay in the 8-digit category. I think she's going to hit like 99 million or 98 million or something like that. I don't think she's going to hit into the full 9-digit category quite yet. She might, but I think that Oda's going to slowly, because realistically, yes, she got an upgrade with Zeus and stuff like that, but she's still a glass cannon. She helped out fighting one of the Topiropo and stuff like that, but once again, Nami's feats are not crazily impressive in this arc. And the world government doesn't really care a whole lot about her, necessarily. So... But she was involved in... And didn't get much of an increase... I don't think she got an increase in Whole Cake Island. And now she's been involved in Wano. So maybe they'll take both arcs into consideration. And she might hit into the 115 million, something like that. But I think she's going to stay in the 8 digits for right now. I think she's going to be like one shy, maybe 999 million, or 99,999,000, something like that. Because realistically, what has she fully done? She got the Zeus upgrade, sure. She deserves a bounty increase, sure. But I don't think she did anything crazily impressive that's going to skyrocket her bounty. Usopp, sort of the same idea. Usopp's, I don't see it increasing very high. He's currently at 200 million. I think maybe he hits 300 million. Maybe 250. He could go up a little higher, I guess, but he's definitely not hitting that 500 million yet, because what has he done? Once again, what in this arc he didn't do anything in Whole Cake because he wasn't in Whole Cake, and what has impressed us thus far? What's going to make who has he defeated? Who was he involved? Not all the Straw Hats were crazily relevant or had these super tough opponents that they defeated necessarily in this arc, and not without help. So I don't think this was Usopp's time to shine. I think Usopp's time to shine, of course, like everybody thinks, will be Elbaf, and that's when he's going to skyrocket, because that's when he's going to become the brave warrior of the sea within that arc, I think. So yeah, there's definitely that. We already talked about Sanji. Chopper, I think Chopper goes up to a whole 1,000. I really do. I think Chopper goes up to 1,000. I just think that the 100 thing is hilarious. Maybe I'm going too high. Maybe he only hits 500 or 200 or something. But I think the next one is going to be 1,000. You know, for smacking Queen in the face or something. I don't know. Now Nico Robin. Once again, Nico Robin had this crazy bounty, as I've already talked about. Like, she had this bounty of 79. You know, from 20 years ago when she was a child, she had a bounty of 79 million berry bounty, and that was quite high. That was stupid high for a child, right? As we've already discussed. But she only increased since being a child to 130. I think with the Devil form, defeating Black Maria, and the fact that now that the Nika fruit is awakened, and now that they know that Robin's there, getting all this poneglyph information in the country of Wano and stuff, I think she hits. I think she doubles. I think she doubles plus. Easy. I think she goes to 300 or more. Easy, no question. Frankie, I think Frankie's finally going to get out of the 8-digit mark. It's very insulting that Frankie is in that same category with Nami, I think, from a power scaling and from a dangerous perspective. He is like the shipwright. He was, the apprentice to Tom and all this stuff. 94 million just does not sit well with me. 94 million is just not enough for Frankie. I think Frankie, once again, like Robin, doubles. I think Frankie doubles in this arc. Maybe not much more, but I think he hits around 200. That's just me. He did fight against Sasaki, one of the strongest of the Topiropo, I think, arguably. And if Apu reported everything that went on verbatim, then, and of course a little bit of embellishment here and there, yeah. So Frankie's already been mad and pissed about the idea that his bounty is not in the 9 digits. He's insulted by that, so I think we finally get that. Or Oda could play a joke and he only gets raised to what I said about Nami, to 99 million, just to really keep pissing him off or something like that. Brook is another one who only is 83 million. I think, Brook didn't increase, of course, during Whole Cake, even though he was instrumental there, and he fought against Big Mom and all that stuff, but people don't know about that. And has he done a crazy amount of things in Wano like some of the other Straw Hats have not done? No, Brook didn't actually do a whole lot in Wano. So, do I see him finally hitting the 9 digits? I think he deserves it. But is he going to hit it? I'm thinking he only goes to about 129, 150. At most. And that's highballing it, I think. I'd like for Brook to go into 200, 300. But I don't think that's realistic or going to happen. So, and the final, of course, member of the Straw Hat Pirates is Jinbei, whose former bounty was, of course, he received his first bounty of 76 million and stuff like that. And I'm reading this completely off the wiki, right? He had 76 million. Then Jinbei's bounty was raised to 250. He had $250,000 for unknown reasons. Most likely his acts against the world government, as is the second leader of the Sun Pirates. And it became inactive when he joined the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Then Jinbei's bounty was raised to 438 million. Just being quite shy of 500,000 after leaving the 7 Warlords and assisting the Whitebeard Pirates and in the Summit War of Marineford. So Jinbei, for the last 2 years, has had the same bounty. Since the time skip, since before the time skip, because that's when he got the bounty, after the Summit War, he got his new bounty of 438 million. Now that he's become officially the helmsman, he left the Big Mom crew. He left the Fish Pirates. He joined the Straw Hat crew, became a helmsman. A warlord is now on the Straw Hats crew, a former warlord. He's going to increase. And he defeated, of course, defeated one of the Topiropo. So he defeated Who's Who. And he's been quite instrumental in, of course, Wano. Like everyone, in big and small ways. So I think Jinbei hits 600. I think he increases by over 100,000, or over 100 million, sorry. I think he increases beyond Ace's old bounty. I think he goes up to 6 something. Maybe even a little higher, but probably not. I'm thinking 6. I'm thinking 6. Around that number is what Jinbei ends up hitting. And for the last one, who potentially is going to be the next member of the Straw Hat crew, which I'm really hoping for, Yamato. I think Yamato, with her pedigree and everything like that, knowing she has a mythical zone, knowing she's the daughter of Kaido or son of Kaido, whatever. Fact of the matter is that I think it would be kind of an homage. I think Oda does this all the time. Remember, Whitebeard's bounty, Roger's bounty, all these bounties, the bounties they get that Oda gives people usually have some play on something with the kanji or something like that. It's usually in the Viva cards or in the SBSs. You can actually figure it all out. I think Artor from the Library of Ohara always figures it out and tells us, oh, this is a pun on Whitebeard's thing. You know, Vin Diesel, it's all about family or whatever it is, that kind of stuff, right? So I think a great homage to Ace would, because of the involvement with Yamato and stuff, I think Yamato's bounty by joining the Straw Hat crew becomes 550 million. I think if she gets a bounty at all, because she might not get one because the world government might not know that she became a member of the, because remember, Apu reported all this stuff, but does he know that Yamato is planning on joining the Straw Hat crew? Do the world government believe that that's actually official? Did that take place? Etc., etc. So if the world government is aware, I think she gets Ace's bounty. No more, no less. I think that's a nice homage to Ace and all the involvement with Yamato. If not, then I don't think she gets a bounty at all. Right? So that's just me. So that's all the Straw Hats and the one potential candidate to becoming the next member of the Straw Hat crew. And then the rest of them, yeah. So the only other bounties I think we're going to see a noticeable increase, or that we're going to know about or care about, because that's all the Straw Hats, right? I don't think the samurai, of course, are getting bounties necessarily. If they do, I have no idea what they're going to be. Same with like Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, all these people. I have no idea. But I do think that we know that being declared a 5th Emperor of the Sea by Big News Morgans was only 1.5 billion. So depending on what they increase Luffy's bounty by, that to me is going to be subject to what Kid and Law's bounty are going to be. The only other one, of course, being Killer, because part of the Rooftop Gang, I think he hits 900,000. If the Rooftop Gang, if anybody's not going to hit the full Billionberry bounty, it'd be Killer, but he'll be right there. He'll be 900, right? But I think Killer hits an even billion. I think Kid and Law hit above Luffy's current bounty. If they're going to be the new warlords, if they're going to be the new emperors, they have to be above Luffy's current bounty. That means Luffy goes much higher than they do, into the high 2s, and these guys are both above 1.5 billion. I think that's fair. Potentially they're all in the 2s. Potentially Law and Kid both get in the very low 2 billions, and Luffy hits 2.8, 2.9. So I think that that's pretty reasonable in that regard. But once again, it depends on what they rank the Rooftop Gang as and what they rank Luffy as. I think that that's very important. If Luffy's bounty only increases to an even 2, which I think is very lowballing it, but let's just say that Oda only increases to 2.1, I think Law and Kid only hit about 1.6, 1.7. If Luffy goes up to 3, which a lot of people are saying that he might even hit 4, which is a little nuts, but if Luffy hits 3.1, 3.2, then I think Law and Kid could easily be 1.9, 2.1, 2.0, 2.2, like that. I can see it. If they're going to be dubbed New Emperors of the Sea, of course. Because as I said at the beginning of the video, if Mihawk or Boa or somebody else is going to take the position of Emperors of the Sea and it's not going to be Kid and Law, then Kid and Law's bounty, of course, does not increase as much as Luffy's, especially, but also just in general. So, because they won't get the epithet of Yonko. So, but those are all the potentials. Those are all the bounty predictions that I currently have in my thought process on getting there. I know that the glare is really bad, guys, and I wore a hat and everything, so sorry about the darkness of the video, but that's the video. I know it's not as short as I claimed. It never is, so it's what it is. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if I had any misinformation, I am not the One Piece Wiki. I am not Oda, nor am I teching, so I usually get some of the information wrong. If I did get anything wrong and you caught it, let me know down in the comment section down below, and hopefully I'll get this video out in the next day or two. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Fourth and most importantly, don't forget to drink, and today is responsibly, because it's early in the morning, responsibly as I always do, and we will see you guys back here next time for the next piece of One Piece, chapter 1053. Once again, I will be live streaming that this coming Friday. Looking forward to it. I got to get this video out, of course, before Friday, otherwise this video is going to be irrelevant. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to try to get this video out in the next day or two, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. So we'll see you guys back here next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.